Welcome back to Up in Smoke, all about barbecue. I'm Becky, and today I am smoking up a cheeseburger meatloaf. The first thing that I did for this is I just laid in some plastic wrap to my loaf pan. Just laid it in kind of in a plus sign, laid two pieces across each way. We're just going to use this to help form our loaf shape and help us get it onto the grill, and then we're going to just take the pan away. But then to start assembling our meatloaf, I just kind of whisked up one little egg already here in my bowl. And then I have 2 pounds of ground beef. I like using all beef. Some like using a pound of beef and maybe a pound of ground pork or pork sausage. And I've always loved beef, so that's just why I use that. So I'm gonna get this all in here. I'm kind of gonna chunk it up just a little bit to help spread out our other seasonings over it as I'm adding those in. Then I've also diced up and just lightly sauteed about half of a yellow onion. So I use a yellow onion just because for me it seems like when I'm dicing it up, it doesn't cause all the watery eyes and running eyes, and you know, when you're just cooking away and your significant other comes in and says, "Honey, why are you bawling your eyes out?" And you're like, "Oh, it's okay, I'm really just dicing an onion." So anyway, you can test that out. If you prefer white onions, use white onions. Test it out, see which ones, if it really works for you too that way. So then, after that, I have a couple of cloves of garlic. I have them in my press. If you don't have a garlic press, you can just dice these up as well. And I like to get them all pressed out because then that gets all the nice garlic oils flowing and everything too. Whoops. And check and make sure I got most of it, if not all of it. I got some little bit of chunks. I am going to just pull those apart a little bit and add those in as well. And next, I'm going to go ahead and add my pink Himalayan salt. That's what we prefer. And it's going to be about 2 teaspoons, maybe a smidge more. Then next, our black pepper, and this is just going to be about another 1.5 teaspoon of that as well. And for me, meatloaf has always been made with ketchup. That's just how my mama did it, so that's how I do it, and that's how I prefer it. And I'm going to put just about a tablespoon of this regular ketchup, and then I also have this spicy unsweetened ketchup that we really like. The spice with this can really build, so if you're like me and you're not super duper into spice, you want to just put a little bit. I'm just going to use about a 1/2 tablespoon for that extra spicy flavor. And then we come to our cheese, the cheeseburger portion of our meatloaf. This is some shredded sharp cheddar. You can use whatever cheese you like. And so I like using the cheese instead of cracker crumbs or bread crumbs, because then it just makes it, again, a little bit lower carb, and that's one way you can make it gluten-free if you need to as well. So I'm going to get some gloves back on here, and then we're going to mix this all up. This is the fun part when you get to, if you want, you can just bare hand it too and get nice and messy. You don't throw your cheese out of the bowl like I almost did. So I'm going to get everything all mixed in here. Make sure our onions get nicely mixed in too. And those lovely sauteed onions work nicely. Sometimes with smoked meatloaf, the onions that are more towards the center of the meatloaf don't always quite get softened up, and you might bite into a little chunk of onion that might be kind of raw, and that's not my favorite thing. So I like just sauteing them a little bit just till they start to get that little translucent look to them. So then once we get everything all mixed in really well here, and like I said, make sure those onions get in there. Sometimes they want to fall out. Gotta make sure I get everything in, and my glove is starting to fall. So, some of them I can press in a little bit too. We're gonna get this into a nice ball. And then I'm going to lay this into my pan, and I'm gonna go back and get some of my onions that have fallen off and just press them down in, and then we're just gonna press this into our pan. Let me move my bowl here. Press this all into the corners and get this all nice and even across the top. You want it to be as uniform a shape as possible so it all cooks evenly. And then what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna lay my plastic wrap over it, cover it up, and I'm gonna let this sit in the fridge for a little while, about 10 to 15 minutes, so it can kind of firm up into this loaf shape. And then I'm gonna go get my grill started. So we are ready to get our meatloaf on the grill. As you can see, my fire is starting to come up a little more. So we're just gonna be able to pull it out by all of our plastic wrap and unfold it a little bit. Now my fire is really coming up. And just lay it on here. Make sure not to set the plastic wrap on fire. And then I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of my favorite beef rub over the top, just kind of on the top, both of them. Yeah, I'm doing 2 today. A lucky friend of ours is gonna get some meatloaf. So I'm just gonna sprinkle this on, and I'm gonna put one of my, get it all nice and dusted. I'm not gonna worry about the sides too much. I just want a little bit on the top. And because my fire is coming up, so I'm gonna put a probe in this one. I want it kind of away from where the fire is gonna be, because I don't want my cord going over the fire. And I don't want it to stick into my grill at all. There we go. Then we're gonna close everything back up. And when the internal temperature hits about 145 or so, I'm gonna come back, and that's when I'm gonna brush on a little bit more of my ketchup. I'm gonna actually mix the sweetened ketchup and the spicy ketchup together. If you want, you can also just use your favorite barbecue sauce, but we'll come back when it's time to brush on the sauce. Hey, so we're back and we are ready to just brush on some yummy ketchup, my mixture of the regular ketchup and the spicy unsweetened ketchup. I'm just gonna put a little bit on all over, and now the smoke is coming up in my face and I can't really see it. And then, so it was at that 145 degree temperature, gives it a couple hours, and then we've got just about another hour, hour and a half before it will be ready to get some nice smoke on this ketchup too. And then we'll be back and ready to taste in just a little while. Okay, we are ready to get these off the grill now. Got my nice big spatula. Makes it super easy. So we're gonna put this one in this pan, this one over here. There we go. And then I'm just going to close this so the fire doesn't threaten to come back up. And I've closed everything down, I think, all my smoke hole and everything that I had open, and the top vent. I am just going to just kind of tent some foil over these just for a little bit. Take them inside, let them rest a little, cool down too, so my taster doesn't burn his mouth. And then we'll be ready to taste. Okay, so our meatloaf has been sitting, cooling down for a little while, probably about 30 minutes. A little bit of rest time, and we are about ready to cut into this now. And it's time for my favorite taster to come on over and take a bite if he wants to.
Yeah! Are you kidding me?
And my pan is probably a little small for this, but
I love this.
there we go. You can see kind of the smoke ring on the meatloaf. And we used some hickory chunks and a little bit of oak chips too to give it a nice smokiness in the meatloaf.
This is taking a okay dinner and having a smoked meatloaf has just made it so much nicer. And we did a video about this, just a Facebook video a couple of years ago when we weren't really even into all of this, getting onto YouTube and whatnot, and it has been one of the most talked about videos and most talked about dishes that Becky has smoked, and it is awesome.
It's really great because I think a lot of people had some maybe bad memories around meatloaf or maybe school meatloaf or something, but this makes meatloaf good again. Makes it taste great again. So the temperature we did was around 275 on the grill, and it took us about 3 hours to smoke. So it's not super long, but gets a nice smoke flavor on it, just enough of smoke flavor, I think. Do you think? You agree? And got some nice smokiness on our ketchup, our sauce that we put on the outside, whether you want to use ketchup or barbecue sauce, whichever. Make it your own and let us know if you try it and how you like it. And thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. Head over to our Up and Smoke All About Barbecue Facebook page and follow us over there to get all the notifications about new videos, and we will see you next time.